Thank you everybody for joining us this evening, and for those of you in the future who will be listening to the recording, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to what we have to say this evening. I am Dr. Evelyn Orenbuck. I'm a veterinarian. I graduated from The Ohio State University in 1994, and I pretty quickly got into doing some alternative types of medicine. I got into doing chiropractic and then acupuncture and rehab. I opened up a large standalone rehab facility called Georgia Veterinary Rehabilitation in 2011. And about 5 years ago, I learned about LifeVantage and the Petandim products and started bringing them into my practice and using them for myself and my family. I can tell you more about my story at the end. I think we've got a lot of people that are going to do some testimonials, can tell you more about what's going on. So there are three veterinarians, myself, Ilana Smolkin, and Dr. Allison Parnes, who are on tonight, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Dr. Smolkin, Ilana, is going to be in the background answering questions. If anybody has questions, go ahead and type them into the chat, and she can answer them privately. If she feels like that's something that needs to be brought up, she can bring it up towards the end. But Dr. Smolkin graduated in 2003 from the Ontario Veterinary College. So she is our international part of our panel. And she owns an integrated practice, has owned an integrated practice since 2005. She's certified in acupuncture, Western herbs, and veterinary manipulative therapy, kind of like chiropractic. And she's working on her certification for Chinese herbs. Also on the call this evening is Dr. Allison Parnes. Dr. Parnes is going to be giving us a little bit about the science behind what we're learning about this evening. Dr. Allison Parnes is a veterinarian from the Atlanta, Georgia area. She graduated from the University of Georgia, go dogs, and has been practicing for 18 years. Since Allison looks like she's 30, I think that she probably graduated when she was 12. She's also certified in veterinary acupuncture. She's been involved in LifeVantage and using nutrigenomics with her patients as well as her family for the past 7 years. She and her family moved to North Georgia, too far away from me now. She moved to North Georgia onto a 70-acre farm where she is raising cats, dogs, chickens, 2 boys, and her husband. She currently does relief work in addition to being a LifeVantage distributor. She's doing relief work with the animal shelters, doing spays and neuters for shelter pets. So I'm going to let Allison go ahead and take the screen, and she's going to tell us a little bit about some of the science behind what we're talking about this evening. Thanks, Allison.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I'm excited to be here to share with you guys tonight. Thank you all for joining us. And as Evelyn mentioned, I'm a veterinarian, and I have really had a passion for alternative holistic health for a number of years. When I started my career, for about 10 years, I was just doing traditional medicine and just realizing that I just needed more tools in my toolbox. I was seeing a lot of patients coming into me that were struggling with pain conditions, lots of cancer, probably diagnosing 2 to 3 cases a week, and animals that were sort of at that end state of life where the owners weren't quite ready to let them go and wanted something more. And I felt like I had just run out of things to offer them, unfortunately. And I was having people coming into my office dumping bottles of supplements on my counter and herbs and asking me, is this good for my pet? Is that good for my pet? Or, you know, the questions I would often get from clients would be, especially in cases of cancer, you know, what could I have done to prevent this? And I just had no earthly idea what to tell them. I just didn't have the knowledge about nutrition and herbs and different things that we could do to help these pets really to protect their bodies and heal themselves in so many ways. So I really became curious as to if I could learn some other things to offer my patients and clients. And so I decided about 10 years after general practice to get my certification in veterinary acupuncture. And through that, learned a lot about traditional Chinese medicine. And then shortly after that, as I was learning about herbs, a friend of mine, also a veterinarian, came to me about a product, an herbal product called Petandim / Protandim, which we're going to talk about tonight, and telling me, you know, this was doing some amazing things for her patients. There were peer-reviewed science studies behind this, which really intrigued me. And as I started to delve into the research, and then also started using it with some of my patients that really I felt like we had exhausted all other options, I started seeing incredible results and just became super passionate about it. And so I'm just going to share my screen with you and go through a short presentation, a little bit about what it is, how it works in the body. And so give me 1 second to do that. Okay. So again, we're going to talk about how to flip the switch on your pet's health and longevity using herbs and natural products. And so I just want to start really quickly by talking about something called oxidative stress, because this is a topic that really is at the heart of all disease. Many of us have never really heard of oxidative stress. We're growing up maybe from the 70s. It was always called free radical damage or free radicals. Many people have heard of that. But really what oxidative stress is it's the accumulation of free radicals in our body, in our pets' bodies, that occur over time, and our body's inability to fight off these free radicals. And when that happens, oxidative stress builds up in the body, and it tends to increase as we age. And it happens in all of our cells, in all species, humans and animals. And as we get older, what happens is, we're breathing, we're eating, and our bodies lose the ability to fight this. So oxidative stress comes from just normal metabolism through the process of eating, through the process of breathing, but also through a lot of toxicity in our environment. So, different types of chemicals that we're exposed to, pesticides, poor diet habits, pollution, gases, radiation, EMFs. So there's so many different things nowadays in our environment. Even if we're trying to eat clean and organic and all these things, we can't control what's in the air. We can't control what's in the soil. And so we're exposed to a lot of different chemicals every day. And all of this stuff contributes to free radicals in the body and oxidative stress. And the number that's been thrown out there, which is pretty crazy, is that the average person produces about 300 sextillion free radicals every single day. And if a person produces that many, we know our animals, they age faster than us. They're exposed to a lot more toxins than us, which we'll get into. So probably their number is even higher. But what I want to point you out to on this picture is just, our cells on the left here. This is a normal cell. And what free radicals do is that they bombard our cells, they damage our cells, they steal electrons from our cells, and it creates this disease process, and eventually can lead to cell death. And it's the same process that happens with an apple when you expose it to air and it browns, or the rusting of metal. So that is truly what is happening inside of our body and every one of our cells. And the big deal with oxidative stress is that it is really at the root cause of over 200 common disease processes. And anything with inflammation, anything with scar tissue, but you can see this, we call this the oxidative stress wheel. It affects every organ, every cell in the body, and depending on your genetics, your DNA, your animal's DNA, it may manifest in different ways. So you can see it manifest as kidney disease, or potentially heart disease, or diabetes, or even cancer. So, Alzheimer's disease, or cognitive dysfunction in our dogs, that has been associated with oxidative stress. So it really is a huge deal that we really need to be able to understand how to get a handle on. So traditionally, the only way we knew how to fight oxidative stress and free radical damage was by taking direct antioxidants. So these are the things we've always heard growing up is, take your vitamin C, your vitamin E, your omegas, your, beta carotenes, all these different things, drink your juices and eat your blueberries, and all those things are great. But unfortunately, they don't do a lot in terms of reducing oxidative stress. They only work on a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you take a vitamin C, you're going to neutralize one free radical. It's a one and done process. It's not activating your body to really do anything. And so you can imagine with a number like 300 sextillion free radicals a day being made in your body, taking one antioxidant in direct antioxidant is not going to have a big impact. It's kind of like, if you think of it, the analogy of a house being on fire, and that fire is oxidative stress, then taking a direct antioxidant is kind of like putting a Dixie cup of water on that house fire. So it might be, be helping in a tiny degree, but not a significant degree. And so the opposite of that is our indirect antioxidants. And these are the antioxidants that our body makes. So some of these are called glutathione, SOD, catalase. These enzymes are very powerful in the body. They reduce or neutralize 1 million free radicals every second. So one enzyme can neutralize 1 million versus one direct antioxidant that you get from food only neutralizing 1. So if we really want to get a handle on reducing oxidative stress, you want to activate these enzymes. And so through science, and since the late 90s, we figured out a way that we can turn these enzymes back on in the body, because as we age, these enzymes start to decrease. But through something called NRF2 activation, which is a pathway in all of our bodies, all of our animals' bodies, all mammals, this will increase the production of these enzymes. So now we can actually get a handle. So instead of a Dixie cup of water, we have a fire hose in every room of the house, and that's what we want. So just kind of talking about it from a veterinary perspective, again, oxidative stress is a huge deal for our pets. It affects all tissues in the body. It affects all species. We talk a lot about dogs, but cats and horses and all mammals, it will apply to. And, they age faster than we do, and they're exposed to way more toxins than we are. If you think about cats and dogs and horses, I mean, we're putting insecticides, on them every month, flea products, heartworm prevention, we're deworming them. They're also outside, they're not wearing shoes that protect their skin from absorbing all of the chemicals and things in the grass. They're eating stuff off of the ground, so they're getting a lot more exposure than even we do. And also just even tap water, contains chemicals and heavy metals and pesticides, and not to mention their foods, which are typically heavily processed. I know unless you do home cooking for your animal, which is, it's most of us are trying to just keep up with our own human family. But these, most of our pets are eating processed food that are, they're heated to extremely high temperatures. They're loaded with preservatives, carcinogens, GMOs, and so they're getting a lot of toxins from their diet as well. And so what I want to talk to you tonight is about a product called Petandim, and this is the very first and only NRF2 activator for animals that on the market. And this is an incredible product, as I mentioned. This is what's going to stimulate the NRF2 pathway to increase the endogenous antioxidant production in our animals. So it's going to stimulate that glutathione, SOD, and catalase production. It's going to turn on detoxification pathways, which is going to activate these anti-inflammatory pathways that will reduce oxidative stress in our pets, which is what we want. This product is made up of 5 herbs: milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, and turmeric. All 5 of these herbs have been used for thousands of years in Eastern medicine, and they're all very good on their own. But really what's so special with this formula is that the way that they're combined, they work synergistically. So what's been shown in studies is that when you combine them, you get an 18-fold increase in their effectiveness than if you try taking these herbs individually. And so it's the synergy that's so important, which is why the product actually was able to get a patent on it. Normally, you can't patent plants, you can't patent herbs, and so because they were able to prove that in these specific ratios, these herbs will activate that NRF2 pathway, they were able to patent it. So I just want to share briefly, we're talking a little bit interchangeably with Petandim and Protandim. So Protandim, which is this blue bottle here, is actually the human version of Petandim. And so as Evelyn mentioned, Dr. Warrenbeck, I take the product as well, and I don't take the Petandim, I take the Protandim, which is the human version. And this is really unique because before it was even available for dogs, this was out for humans. And so there was a human clinical study done. Very first study ever done on Protandim, and people began taking it for themselves and then also giving it to their animals, and started seeing such an incredible difference with their pets that the company actually made a dog version of it, and that's called Petandim. So they are both the same, have the same herbs, the same synergy. So just wanted to kind of make sure that to clear that up when we're talking about Protandim versus Petandim. But the Petandim, again, is the dog version of the human product Protandim. And really the only difference is that it's flavored and chewable, so you can give it like a treat. My dogs love it. I don't have to hide it in anything, but you can certainly give the human version too. And I do recommend that sometimes for certain dogs, which I'll go into soon. But what I love about Petandim also is that it has omega-3 fatty acids, it has type 2 collagen, so it has additional things in it that also help support the skin and the joints and overall well-being of the dog, plus the incredible nerve 2 activation with the 5 herbs. And we do have a clinical study on dogs that was done, which shows again that it is increasing the animal's endogenous antioxidants. The catalase was increased by 36%. And they also did an observational study with it as well. And this was double-blind, placebo-controlled study. And what was really remarkable is that these animals were split into 2 groups, and there were one group was on the product and one was on a placebo. And the owners didn't know which dogs were taking the real Petandim or not, and neither did the doctor or the veterinary technicians. And what they found was that during the study, all of the owners and the staff of the hospital could tell which dogs were taking the active product just based on their observational changes. They were seeing this group of dogs coming in that had more vitality, that had more energy, that had better mobility. And they knew before the study was even unblinded, these are the dogs taking the active product. So that was really remarkable too. And it did show in the end results that the dogs taking Petandim had a much better score in terms of their mobility. A lot of them had hip dysplasia and things like that going into the study. So they were able to see a huge difference in the animals as far as their activity levels and mobility. So I love that this product has even more than just the clinical study. Protandim, the human product, has over 24 peer-reviewed studies on PubMed.gov. And as a doctor, this is really huge for me to see, because, we don't want to put our names behind something that doesn't have scientific validation. And what I love about this is that there are third-party universities and medical schools that have put their own money behind the product, that have studied it, and it is all published. And you typically don't see this on natural products and supplements. This is stuff you usually only see on drugs. And so this is a huge, reason that I became involved, is just because of the science behind it. And one of the studies that actually came out from Washington State University talked about nerve 2 activation being the most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. And that's huge in and of itself, as far as human medicine, but I would say also in veterinary medicine, we've never seen this. There's no other product in the veterinary world that has this type of nerve 2 activation. I mean, we are really, most of the things we're looking at are supplements and not activators. So really we're moving into a new kind of phase of health and wellness, is getting the body to activate itself and not just supplementing. So we always get, so how can Petandim help me, how are my pets? And as I mentioned, there are a lot of conditions people are always curious about, like, will it help my cat or dog with this, X, Y, and Z condition? And if we go back to that oxidative stress wheel, you'll see all the different things associated with it. So we can say, really no matter what your pet is going through, if there's a link to oxidative stress, then it's worth trying. And, even if your pet doesn't have a problem, we know oxidative stress is there and it just gets worse over time. So for me, I look at it even as more of a preventative health product. I would rather put my patients on something before they have a disease process than wait until they have it and then have to get behind it. So I look at it as, look, we're helping you fight oxidative stress and all of the toxins in the environment. I'd rather get them on it when they're healthy and hopefully prevent or extend the time to where they have to deal with some of these issues. So some of the benefits you will see: better skin and hair coat, increased energy, improved endurance, healthier immune system, better joint health and mobility, reduced pain, stronger resistance to allergies, better tooth and gum health, better heart health, increased cognitive function, and reduction of age-related issues. You know, tooth and gum health, I will just say too, I know there's probably a lot of cat lovers on the call. I work in shelters and I see so many kitties, and a lot of dogs too, with horrible teeth and painful conditions related to that. And with cats in particular, we are really limited as to what we can use to help these animals with pain and inflammation. Cats are one of those, you know, unique species that can't tolerate a lot of anti-inflammatory drugs. And so unfortunately, you know, as they get older, it's hard to really give them a great quality of life using medications. But what I have found with using Petandim and Protandim in cats is that I'm able to give them a better quality of life in those older years. You know, we see a lot of chronic kidney disease as well. I have had such great success with just extending their quality of life. And that's really, you know, why I became passionate about it, even with my canine patients, because I treat, doing acupuncture, I treat a lot of the older pets that suffer with a lot of chronic conditions. And I have just found adding this to the regimen has really been a game changer. A lot of my friends and colleagues use it in horses and have seen incredible results with horses as well. So we're going to have a testimonial tonight about a horse, but they're, you know, really all of these things I'm talking about applies to every species if you're a mammal. So just an incredible product with great benefits. And dose-wise, it's on the bottle, but essentially, you know, it goes by weight. And, you know, you can use this as far as cats. We typically go with the toy breed dog as far as dosage. And if you want to use Protandim for dogs, you can do that as well. And typically for dogs that are over 70 pounds, I will put on the human version just because it would take 4 Petandims to equal 1 Protandim dose. So I just find that that's just a little bit easier. Or people that have multiple animals in their household can get away with just using the human product and splitting that up between the pets. So that's just a dosage for you there. The last thing that I will say about this is that it has the NASC seal, quality seal, which is a really big deal when it comes to nutritional supplements for animals. You know, this seal is not typically regulated. You actually have to seek out this seal for quality. And so if you're ever purchasing something for your pet, you want to look for this seal. If it doesn't have it, you really can't say for sure what the quality control is or the safety measures. So this is a third-party organization that goes in, they audit the companies, they check and test the products to make sure that they're pure, that they're safe, that they're efficacious, and that they are not, that they are what they say they are. So it's a really big deal to me that our product has this label. So with that, I am going to end my share, and I will turn it back over to you, Dr. Orenbuch.
Thank you so much, Allison, Dr. Parnes. We really appreciate that. That was an excellent, pretty quick review of some pretty in-depth science behind the products that our company has. So I really appreciate you taking the time. And Alana, Dr. Smolkin is in the background answering questions. I'm watching these start to go by. So if people have questions, now you've seen some of the science, you're probably thinking about your own pet. It's fine if you want to go ahead and use the chat and put a question in, and Dr. Smolkin will address it. So we have a few people on the call right now that are going to talk a little about their own experience with their pets, and we're going to start with Sarah and her dog. Sarah, you there? Can you oh, I think I need to unmute. Oh, there you go. Good, you're unmuted.
I'm unmuted. Hi. My name's Sarah DeLeo, and I'm laughing because Hillary just told me my hair looks good. I told her I had to get it done before I could come on. And just a funny note, I was sitting there thinking, I think my hair, since she kind of combed it down flat, but since I started taking Protandim, I think I have more hair. that just occurred to me today while I was there for hours. I've got my little friend here. Chesty, can you say hi? Chesty Puller. That's my baby. Waiting patiently for me to get up. But I am wanting to share my experience with Petandim. I am a pro tandem. I take the NRF 1 and 2. And just to give a little background, I'm not a veterinarian or a scientist at all. Some degree, and I'm married to an engineer, and so we're pretty skeptical people, I guess, by our own training. We were introduced to this company by a dear friend in Virginia who's working on a second PhD, and he researches everything to the nth degree. So he's very trustworthy to us. I started taking it. I put my daughter on it, and I took my dog to blood work revealed that he had elevated liver enzymes. And the vet mentioned that the medication, it was not a big deal, but it was about $50 a month, and we would check it again the next month. And I decided, knowing about Petandim, I decided, what's there to lose? I'm just going to put him on it. I had watched a video that our friends sent us, a couple of videos. One was somebody's dog that had this incredible turnaround, and two was the doctor who's one of the makers of HeartGuard, who I guess was in on the development of Petandim. I don't have all this information at my fingertips. We're in the middle of a move, but maybe somebody could provide that if anybody's interested. That was a pretty good endorsement to me, and so I tried it, and true to what they were saying, there was almost an immediate effect. I would say, I think the next day, Hillary can confirm if that's what I told her, 2 days maybe, he just suddenly had more energy. He was very overweight. He's 10, he's going to be 10 in August. And he suddenly was able to walk again. And he's kind of fast forward, that was back in November, December, he's lost like 18, 20 pounds, and he walks, and he's actually, this is his sleeping time, but twice a day, this 10-year-old dog is following me around the house, you know, bugging me to go for his walks. And I shared a picture with Hillary earlier of him yesterday. We walked by some water by our lodging area that we're staying in, and he jumped in the water and went for a swim. I kind of lost control of him. He also broke out of the front door to go greet some of our neighbors in the Navy temporary lodging we're in yesterday. So his energy has increased to enough that he can be naughty a little bit again as well. So I think it's a great product. I like it for myself, and it's worked well for him, and I'm really thankful. I know that it doesn't, sorry, we had a jet go overhead. I know it's not the fountain of youth, of course, but it's given him what we enjoy the most, his playfulness, his love of walks and seeing friends and all of that back. And just wanted to share that with y'all.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate that. That's great. It's incredible to see him feeling better, moving better. Really appreciate it. And we have Kristen now to tell us a little bit about her pup.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be talking on this call. Just a bunch of pet lovers. Gotta be awesome people. Anyway, my name's Kristen Algren, and I live in Kailua, Hawaii. And I get to talk about my dog, Olive, who, you guys, just to back up, I actually took the human version, Protandim, and I had my own health testimony. And so I put my kids on it, and of course I put my dog on it. So my dog, her name's Olive. She actually passed away 6 weeks ago at 14 and a half. So this is her as a little puppy. She was my first baby, and she was a lab, and she, I think, you know, lived really a complete full life. And she, you know, she actually had 2 knee surgeries when she was 9. And I remember thinking about, when we were thinking about getting the second one, is it even worth it? Because she was showing signs of aging at that point. So fast forward a couple of years, she started getting these horrible red splotchy rashes all the way from her neck down to her the bottom of her stomach, that about probably 3 or 4 times a year, that's the only thing that helped was antibiotics, and it would immediately go away. So when I started giving her I gave her the Protandim, because she was almost 70 pounds, her rashes, they never came back. And that was about 3 years ago. And I can honestly say that I really believe that it just helped her in so many different ways. I feel like she got younger the older she got. And, you know, she did die, you know, but, you know, we're all going to die. And I truly believe that it just helped extend her life. And I also had a golden retriever that passed away at 6 years old. And you better believe my new puppy that I have that's 20 weeks, you better believe she's on the Petandim, because if we can do anything for prevention, then I'm definitely going to give it to my dog. So thank you for letting me share, and aloha.
Thanks so much, Kristen. That's awesome. It's, yeah, being able to extend life, right? That's what we're all looking for with our pets. We love them so much. We don't want them to leave. So I totally understand. Sandy, can we have Sandy talk a little bit about her kitty? Come on. Uh-oh. Is Sandy there? I'm not hearing Sandy.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Hi, my name is Sandy Stratton, and I'm coming to you from Northern California. I'm visiting all my pets. I make a round. It's a very sensitive story about my cat. My cat was poisoned. I was using a rug cleaner, and I had walked down the hall, and later on that day, the heels of my feet were burned. And I didn't think anything out of it with animals. It was a pet cleaner made by Sargent's. It's now off the market because of me. But later on that night, my fat Jack, he was about 18 pounds, almost stopped breathing. And I said, you know, maybe he ingested it. And second day, it was worse. And I did that talk, when you go to heaven, who you're going to talk to. And the next morning, I said, you know what? Let me try Petandim. I've been working with LifeVantage probably 2 years by then. And I said, well, I'll take half of a pill. And I crushed it a little bit and threw it down his throat. And still wouldn't drink or eat anything. And the next day I did the same thing. On the third day, my husband came up to me and he said, don't worry about taking him to the vet. I go, what, did he die? He goes, no, he wants chicken. And Jack lived 3 more years. He was 15 at the time, and he lived to be 18. And that was just so remarkable to me, to be able to witness a cat that he was really close to the ground, and his breathing was, it just was sporadic, you know. And said, we're onto something here. And then I didn't know that you could give a cat Protandim at little doses, because cats don't like the taste. Didn't like the taste of Petandim. I tried to disguise it in my other cats with tuna, and nothing worked. So now that I know a new way, I can't wait to go home and try it with my new cats. And that's it.
That's awesome. Incredible. Coming back around from poison. Thank you so much, Sandy. Really appreciate that. Let's have Lee tell us about her horse.
Hello, everybody. I am Lee Zelina, and actually I have 3 animals who are on the either the Petandim or the Protandim. I have a cat that's on the Petandim, a dog that's on the Petandim, and then I have a horse, which I will be talking about, and he's on 2 Protandim a day, in the AM and in the evening. In the evening. And I've had this horse, Magic. I've had him since he was 4, and he's 18 now. And he's had quite a bit of work. I showed him quite a bit, and about 6 years ago, he became lame, and he was just really bad. And so I did a lot of different things and could not figure out what was wrong with him. And so I eventually took him down to Ohio State University, and he had an MRI, and it showed that he had a hoof issue. And later I found out that he had issues in his joints as well. And I guess the hoof issue and the other issue that he has typically go hand in hand. And so I did everything Ohio State said to do, shots, therapeutic shoeing and pads. And it was all very, very expensive, but I had to do it. And it seemed to work for about 4 months, maybe a little longer. And then little by little, I could just see him going downhill, and he was back to square one. And I had, people saying, it's over for him, retire him. I had a veterinarian that would come up, and then after a while, everything he did after that didn't help. And I would, call him to say, well, is there any, are there any other options? He wouldn't even, they didn't even answer the phone, it seemed like. They didn't ever call me back. And I think they probably just didn't know what else to do, and they probably hated to say that. And so I kind of got hurt, and then I got kind of angry. And so I thought, you know what? There has to be something out there. And so I dove in, did a bunch of research. I found a farrier in Indiana, I'm in Ohio, who gave me a little glimmer of hope. So I took him there, and they did the opposite of what they told me to do at Ohio State. And little by little, his feet started getting better, but his joints were still bad. And so I had been introduced to Protandim at the doctor's office when I was sick, and it really helped me. And then I started hearing that horse owners gave it to their horses. So I did a bunch of research on that, and I thought, you know what? I haven't really ridden him a whole lot in 5 years. And so I thought, what do I have to lose? And so I started giving it to him, and I took video of him every few weeks because I wanted to, sometimes you have good days and sometimes bad days. And I really wanted to be very analytical. And so I took video of him every 2 to 3 weeks. And I was amazed. He kept getting a little bit better. And then it seemed like after he was on it for about 3 or 4 weeks, he got more better. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this stuff's actually working. And so in 6.5 weeks, he became sound. So I started to ride him. He was out of shape, got him fit, had him see a chiropractor just to treat everything. Chiropractic, massage. And that was not quite 1.5 years ago. So he's going into his, towards his 2nd year of being sound. And I ride him probably 2 or 3 times a week. And, he's 18, and I have people say, he looks amazing. And I have this picture. I don't know if you can see it on my cell phone. Can you guys see that? But he's doing great. And I'm just so happy. And I've, shared it with lots of other people. And it was because of him, I decided to become a distributor because I thought, animals don't lie. And as I said earlier, I have a dog on it. He'll be 12 pretty soon. He's been on it a little bit longer than Magic. And then I have 2 cats. Only one of them will eat it so far. And Vinny, our cat, he will be 10 or 11, and he's fit, he's happy. It's just awesome. So if anybody's kind of thinking about it, do the research if you have to, but definitely do it. I think I probably spent maybe a little too much time researching it, but I'm a speech therapist, and I'm very detail oriented. And so I just need to do all that so I can logically decide what to do. But I would say do it because it's awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome, Lee. It's so impressive. I'm so glad it helped your horse so much, and your pets and you. And this is great stuff. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Thank you, Allison, Dr. Parnes, for the incredible scientific background. Dr. Smolkin, Ilana, for answering the questions in the background. There were lots of questions that went by. If everybody still has just a few more seconds to ask them. Sarah, Kristen, Sandy, Lee, all of you for hopping on and giving us a little bit of your own experience. We really, really appreciate everybody's time to listen to this. And if you're interested more in learning more about LifeVantage or the products, please get in touch with the person who invited you to tonight's call. And they can tell you more about it at that point. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. I think we can open it up for a question or two or not. Allison, what do you think?
I think we probably should wrap it up since we're getting, 45 minutes now, but anybody that has more questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're on Facebook, or the person who invited you to the call can connect you with us if you have more specific questions.
Yeah, our little group has a Facebook page, NRF2 K9 Top Performance. If you look for that, you can find the 3 of us are there. So, but I think you can find us on Facebook pretty easily in other ways. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a good evening.